Coming up, we were two fools who decided to stay at Universal's Endless Summer Resort, Surfside Inn and Suites, and we sure do have some thoughts about it, and we're excited to share them with you. From the Bob Varley Studio in Orlando, Florida, this is the Universal edition of the Diz Unplugged. This is episode 225 of the Diz Unplugged Universal Edition. The Diz Unplugged Universal Edition is brought to you by Dreams Unlimited Travel, experts at helping you plan the perfect Universal vacation. Visit them on the web at www.dreamsunlimitedtravel.com. The Diz Unplugged Universal Edition is also brought to you by DizBoards.com. If you're looking for even more information to help you plan your Universal Orlando vacation, head over to DizBoards.com and join the discussion today. Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of the Diz Unplugged Universal Edition. I am your host, Craig Williams. Today, I am joined alongside by my co-host, Ryan the Ryno Clavin.
Hello.
Hello. Thank you for being here, Ryno.
Yes, you're welcome.
You had no other choice.
I did not have a choice.
No, not especially in this one, because we have...
I do love doing the Universal show. I want to make that clear.
Oh, yeah, no, I know you do, and I know I do. So we both love doing it, so we're going to keep doing it for the time being until it gets canceled. So anyways, that being said, of course, Ryno had to be here for this episode because this was an exciting one. So this is one we've been looking forward to for a long time, and that is our review of Universal's Endless Summer Resort, Surfside Inn and Suites, which opened up on June 27th. And yes, Ryno and I were there day one, ready to take in all of the action, and we sure did do that. So on top of that, we even got to go back in the parks, and we got to ride Hagrid's at night. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It was magical.
It was
because it worked.
Yes, and it was just a perfect moment, well spent and shared between two gentlemen on Hagrid's
on a motorbike.
Yes, and Ryno rode my sidecar.
I was your sidecar. Mm-hmm. He was in a sidecar.
Yes,
speed so fast, felt like we were flying away.
Yeah, and that all ties into it. So we did need to get over to Universal while we were staying at Universal's Endless Summer Surfside Inn and Suites. I'm just going to start calling it Surfside Inn and Suites from now on. I can't do the full name every single time, but and I even missed the resort, I think, on the last time around on it. But we needed to see how far away it would be actually when riding the bus and such. So we had to do all of the science here for you on this one. I think we got it all down, and we've broken it all down, and we have feelings, and we're not going to beat around the bush. No news, no nothing today. This is just our review of Universal's Endless Summer Resort, Surfside Inn and Suites. I swear that's the last time I say it all.
I can't even do it.
I'm just gonna. I know. If only we could compile all the bloopers of Ryno screwing up the name of the resort while we were there.
Yeah. It's terrible.
Pretty bad, but in a great way. So very, very exciting here. So let's start off at the very beginning. A very good place to start.
Is that a sound of music?
Yeah.
Oh, look at that. See, I learned that.
Yeah, you did learn that. We taught you well. So a very good place to start. And in terms of that, we're going to start with Surfside Inn and Suites. Where is this at? Well, we've talked about it on the show before. I'm going to let Ryno answer it here. But
Orlando.
My God, he got it. He got it, everyone. He got it.
It's where the former Wet and Wild used to be.
Yes.
Just on is it on International Drive technically?
It is technically on International Drive. So it is literally in the former spot of where Wet and Wild was. So I believe the technical the intersection would be is at the intersection of Universal Boulevard as well as International
That's
Drive.
what I thought it was too, but I wasn't 100% sure.
I'll be honest, even if I say this, I'm confident on the International Drive portion of it.
And I'm pretty sure it's Universal because when you go out straight, it goes right over the hill to it.
Yeah.
So
well, now you can see the kind of preparation that we've brought to this.
Well, you know what I can do too? This little guy right here. internet.
I was hoping that in the time that I was stalling with
World
that
Wide Web.
nonsense that you would have already looked it up, but he's going to get to that in just a second there. So yes, it's on the former spot where Wet and Wild used to be, of course, after Universal decided and had Volcano Bay. Why need two water parks that you own, especially when one isn't even right on the same campus as everything else with Universal Orlando Resort? So what they decided to do was go and bulldoze that and turn it into a hotel, and also add on another hotel, a sister hotel. It's Dockside Inn and Suites, coming, I believe, May 2020.
Hey, and good for us. It was Universal Boulevard.
Cool beans, dude. We did get that. So it's right on that nice corner there. So I know the first thing you might be afraid of when I say it's on the corner of Universal Boulevard and International Drive is like, oh, it's an International Drive hotel? Because I'll be honest, if you're from Orlando, that does have a slight negative connotation to it. International Drive is nothing to be afraid of, but there are portions of International Drive that are still that kind of 192-esque old Florida in a way. It's cheesy attractions that you don't necessarily you don't find in places except big cities. A lot of chain restaurants that are in like really run-down strip malls and stuff like that. A lot of all-you-can-eat buffets randomly. So it definitely doesn't have the best location for what it is. But I will say that the area that it is in on International Drive is not a bad one. It could be a lot worse.
Oh, yeah.
There are plenty of other good hotels right around it. There's not that many rundown locations right around it. It's an area that I would feel safe walking at night. I know a lot of people wouldn't. For me, I would feel safe walking around there at night, but it's, you know what, you do what your comfort level is and just leave it at that. But Ryno, how would you describe the hotel of Endless Summer Resort Surfside Inn and Suites? What's the vibe you get from it?
Beach.
Okie dokie, that was it. It's a real beachin' vibe. It's bright, it's airy, it's open.
A lot of white, a lot of light blues, sort of coloring, and when you drive up, there's not a lot to the exterior of the hotel. It's got some color on it and stuff, but it's we're looking at a pretty basic design.
Oh yeah, no, the design in itself is basic, but at the same time a little bit sophisticated in that it's very similar to the tower set up at Cabana Bay, if you're familiar with that. So you have the lobby kind of right in the middle, then you have these two long towers that kind of extend out further and further, and they get smaller and smaller as they go down. A giant pool right in the middle in between those two towers. But that being said, there is a little bit of like a ridge to like, I think at least the second tower where it starts to look a little wavy. Yeah. So it really does. Even though you look at it and you're like, okay, this is kind of basic from the outside, it does get that beach impact in there with that little bit of a wave on top of the building. And then at the end of the building, there's these big murals that definitely have the beach vibe to it with the sand and the sun and surfers. Like it's simple, but I feel like there's just enough. And I feel like that's kind of now going into the actual review portion of this. Not that we weren't before, but really getting into the brass tacks here. I feel like that's a good definition of what the hotel is. It's simple but enough. Remember, this is Universal's first true value hotel.
Honestly, I will say just from the get-go, I was actually surprised about like how much was to it for the value.
Yeah, I wasn't surprised, but I was overall pleased by it. There were a couple areas that I felt like needed some serious help. But for the most part, I was pleasantly surprised with our stay here. So when I say true value, you might be asking what I mean by that. And I'm talking, when the prices first came out, they were a little bit different. They were saying Surfside Inn and Suites, the starting room was $73 per night. based on a 7-night stay, and the 2-bedroom suites there were $111, I believe, based on a 7-night stay. I'm not sure if that's still the case. So I don't want to go messing around with that. That's the original numbers that Universal was running with, so I would still trust it. But a lot of the terminology they now have on their website in terms of the starting from prices is all based on 4-night stays, and the standard rooms are $85 per night starting at for the 4-night stay, and then $131 for the 2-bedroom suites for a 4-night stay. And that, of course,
But ours was less than that, right?
No, ours was more than that, but we'll get into that there in just a second. So it's overall, it is very, very fair. That is, the entire hotel is only made up of these 2 room types, the standard rooms as well as the 2-bedroom suites. And both of the rooms on paper, if you can go in this low value season and stay long enough where you can get these rates, it can be a really awesome value for you. But even at a random 1-night stay in a low season, technically, you can still get a good deal. So the 2-bedroom suites are actually what we stayed in for this review. And like I said, Universal's quoting based on a 4-night stay would start from $131. Ours was $168, I want to say. And I want to also say that was after tax, if I remember correctly. That was with a Florida discount, I will say.
Did that include the parking?
No, that does not include parking. Then parking is $14 per day at the hotel. And then obviously if you want to add anything else to the hotel, incidentals, whatever, you can also start racking that up. But yeah, just alone, we're talking, Again, I don't have the exact, I can't remember. It was either 168 before the discount or 168 after, but I think for a 2-bedroom suite that is a fantastic price, even for one night. That it's far and few between where I've seen Disney discounts, on like Florida resident discounts on rooms that would be comparable, which there aren't very many of. But even beyond that, I know my sister has gotten discounts at some of the hotels on Disney property with a cast discount and hasn't even gotten these prices just for standard rooms. So very excellent pricing, I will say, in terms of that. We will get to whether or not we thought the room was worth the price, but we have to start with the entire experience. So check-in was painless.
Yeah. Smooth.
Yeah, it honestly was the smoothest one we've had. So if you have been following us along for a little while, take us all the way back to our review of Sapphire Falls, you might remember the disaster that was in every way, shape, or form.
I remember it took forever.
Yes.
There was a line through the lobby, and we got up there and something was wrong when we got up there.
If I can... I'm really, really struggling to think back to how long it was. It was at least an hour in line.
Well, I remember because I met you guys and I hadn't eaten, and I was like, I'll be fine. We'll check in and we're going to go eat right away. That was the plan.
Yeah.
And I was getting angry. Yeah. That's how hungry I was. And I was just I remember being starting to get dizzy and a headache. And I was like, good Lord, it took so long.
Yeah, no, it was terrible. And this was the opposite. This was way closer to my experience at Aventura Hotel when I did that last year. It was... We walked pretty much right up. I think we waited maybe 2 seconds at where you check in at, and then finally someone called us over. And I don't want to say that this was it's just we picked the right time to be there. We spent a good amount of time in the lobby. And it was always slow.
I don't think there was ever more than 2 or 3 people waiting.
Yeah.
And even then I was I don't want to walk up because there's 3 people in line. But by the time I even walked toward the line, they were each had been called. Yeah. So I was like, okay.
But the team members who were working the front desk were very, very helpful right away. The only confusing thing I will say on there, the entire process was very smooth. We had our reservation. They didn't need a confirmation number or anything. They were able to pull it up right away with my name and found everything and got it going. The only thing that caught me off guard, which I just personally had never dealt with before, but it's how they do it. Normally at a hotel, you put down your credit card for incidentals, and especially if you want to have room charging privileges and stuff like that. And so you expect a hold on your credit card because of that. In this situation, I was able to tell them what I thought I was going to spend at the hotel. And that's the hold they put down, and they would add more if they had to. So, normally, again, I would just expect like, oh, we're going to put a $300 hold on your room for the night, and that covers everything. In this case, I was like, I don't know, $100. And I think it was like 2 minutes later on my notification from American Express, it's like, you've been charged $114. So 14 for the parking.
Oh, yeah.
and then 100 for our incidentals, which I mean, not incidentals, but for our room charging purposes, which we went over, but not by a lot, because the value side of this hotel transforms throughout everything. So for the restaurant, the bar, it really is value all the way around. But the first look you get at the lobby, I feel like introduces you to the fact that value doesn't necessarily mean cheap, because it has an awesome feel to it. So, Ryno, what's your kind of vibe with the lobby?
No, I think it was very inviting. I thought the day we went, because it was opening day, they had like people with surfboards in there, and I was like, well, I don't get it. Like, I mean, I get it that they're supposed to be at the beach and whatever, and they were walking around and talking to people, but I was like, this feels so weird. Where are you going to use that surfboard? Like, but I thought the lobby was very inviting, and I saw people like set up working in there and stuff. So it was. There was, you've got your Starbucks in there. There's a little gift shop, and by little I mean the standard issue size gift shop that sells all your universal merchandising needs. But yeah, I thought it was like we already said about the hotel itself. It was bright. It was somewhere where it never felt crazy. Like hotel lobbies can sometimes be really crazy. I think if we're going to compare it, it's definitely a really, really sized down version of. I'd say it reminds me a little bit more of Aventura than it does of Sapphire Falls. Like Sapphire Falls has that big grandiose kind of entrance, I feel like, and then Rishon, and I feel like this seemed very intimate.
See, I both agree with you and disagree with you, because if you remember at Aventura, it actually keeps extending all the way back, because the cafeteria is all the way
That's true.
at the end. But this does really remind me, when you first walk in, it reminds me of, it does remind me of Sapphire Falls, at least at the initial one. So like you walk in the doors, and to your left is where all the check-in areas are. And it's got like this big kind of exaggerated wooden wave that's over top that helps balance out, because the main color scheme, you have all these like cream floors, very white cream floors, and then the ceiling is this blue kind of like long stretches that's very metallic in a way. I know I just said blue long stretches. I don't know how to describe a roof.
It looks
it's
like
a blue
dock.
roof. Yeah.
It looks like a dock on a beach.
Yeah, and it's like water. It's that water color when I say blue, not just like blue. And then there's these white little decorations hanging up in the kind of is the chandelier, and on the floor there's places to sit that are just like these weird pebble chairs that have no backs and are super uncomfortable. I sat on one for a second. It was super uncomfortable, but it's just very open and inviting. And then unlike Sapphire Falls, where it continues on further back, it just ends, and then the next place you would go from there is outside. There's also that same wave you have over the check-in side also carries over into a nice seating area on the other side, and so half of the seating area is on the wave, and then you can also sit on the back side of the wave too. And one of the things that I really loved about this area is that, I don't know if you noticed it, but underneath like all of the actual benches built in, there was plugs and USB ports.
Oh yeah, I noticed.
Yeah. So, and that's not just there. Like right out front of the Starbucks, they had these
long
two
tables.
Yep, they had two long tables where you could plug in and get some work done. They had them all the way back by the exit when you're going into the courtyard with the pool. They had another table set up with plugs and outlets. It just everywhere. They were all over the place. Plenty of seating in the lobby and plenty of places to charge up on. So you mentioned the Starbucks. To me, there was nothing special about it. It's just another
standard
lobby.
Starbucks, yeah.
It's a lobby Starbucks. So it's a good place if you want to get your coffee in the morning, but no thrills on that. The gift shop, it's The only thing I think we should mention really with the gift shop is that there definitely was a plethora of Universal's Endless Summer Surfside Inn and Suites merchandise throughout it.
Yeah. Get your tanks, get your teas.
Yeah, no, a whole nice little big display of merchandise. So very beachy in the colors, like nice, kind of the same look as the hotel, blues and grays all meshing together with some white as well too. And then that was kind of for the Surfside Inn merchandise for your tanks, your teas, your beach towels, your shot glasses, mugs, all of that. And then the Endless Summer merchandise kind of took the opposite side of the vibe, and it went for more of like a cool
sunset.
It's like, so that merchandise could kind of it could work for either resort in a way. From my opinion of it, it nothing like sunsets says anything like beaches to me. Wait, did that make sense?
I know what you're meant to say, but I'm not sure that the words. If the stenographer could read back the.
How about I just say sunsets equal beaches to me.
Seashells down by the seashore.
Sunsets say beaches to me. So the only last thing I want to mention directly in the lobby area, because it's something that we made use of a couple times. The restrooms in the lobby area, actually right outside of it, there are 2 water fountains. But on top of that too, what do they have that I love more than anything right now?
Oh, the refillable water bottle station, saving the environment 1 water bottle at a time.
Yeah. And it's the least I've used a refillable water bottle station in any stay.
It was the one time I didn't have my refillable water bottle with me. Shame on me. Yeah. But I ended up using a plastic cup I would keep walking around to the corner to use. But
yeah, so that's our kind of our take on the lobby. It's chill. It's big enough not too amazing, but it gets the job done. So just off the lobby is Beach Break Cafe. Yes. So
aesthetically pleasing.
Very aesthetically pleasing.
I'm going to tell you this right now. The area is nice. I like how it's all set up. You know, again, that kind of color palette from the lobby transcends into here or makes its way into there, but then lots of seating, different types of seating too, but man, that food.
Yeah. This place is a bummer. So we're not going too in depth with it in this review, because we actually have a separate vlog out there that is fully focused on all of our dining experiences that we had while we were at Universal's Endless Summer Resort, with it that really goes into depth on it. Our lunch, our dinner, our breakfast at Beach Break Cafe, as well as our room service pizza delivery.
That pizza was good.
That pizza was good. The concept behind Beach Break Cafe is that pretty much everything is all the entrees are under $10. And so when you really get it all together, you can kind of throw together a meal for like $13, give or take, which is very, very fairly priced.
Well, and one of the things you can get in there, which I thought was great, was the Universal and the Summer refillable mug.
Yeah.
And it was like $9 a day. Well, $9 for the 1 day, $12 for 2 days, and so on. And I was like,
15, 18.
Yeah, I was like, this is a deal. I was surprised. I thought the mug alone would have been like, I think at Disney World, they're like $17 or $18 now just for the 1 day.
Yeah, no. The mug is absolutely a fabulous deal if you're going to be around property a lot, and especially have those days where you're only using the pool and stuff. Definitely look into the investment of the mug. To kind of recap the food that we had from there, the food in general that they have there, they have a variety of sandwiches and salads. They have a rotisserie section. They have a pizza section. They have a grill. And the items that we got while we were there included the Baja chicken sandwich. We also had the... Sorry, for a second.
I had a Power Bowl. Yeah, the Adobe Chicken Power Bowl.
Adobo. Not the Adobe.
Adobe software, Photoshopped chicken.
You had the Adobo chicken with garlic lime crema Power Bowl. We also had the herb crusted cod and the citrus roasted chicken. Those were our lunch and dinner choices between the two. And then for breakfast, we had the breakfast pizza as well as the blueberry pancakes with the lemon curd. And that's all the items we got there. And then for our dinner our third dinner in the room, we had the room service pizza that was delivered, a barbecue chicken pizza, which I'm still dreaming about.
It was so good.
It was so good. That could have just been the exhausted state that we were in, that it was so good.
And it was the first thing that we had that entire trip that was fresh.
Yeah.
So because they made it to order. So
and that's ultimately the problem with Beach Break Cafe, that the only thing I want to harp on in this, because if you want to see the details on the food and stuff, you can obviously go and watch that one. But in terms of the restaurant as a whole, I don't know, maybe get the salads, or the sandwich.
Well, the salads are pre-boxed too. So no, the sandwich, no, because they were wrapped, and so like half of the sandwich has been exposed to the air.
I guess
so.
That's
I'm
true
like,
too.
it could be really stale, is what it looked like to me, based on the type of bread they were using.
So basically, just the salads.
Yeah, because they're contained and made that day. Hopefully, everything says when it was made and when it goes bad, so there's no question about that.
Yeah.
But there are other items you can find in here for value. I felt like you can buy a bottle of wine for your room for $20. I didn't think that was that bad. $4 beers, $7 mixed drinks. I was like, oh, this is pretty good. Like this is a value compared to like other resorts I've been to, where like that little tiny mixed bottle would be like $14 or something.
Yeah, I guess my problem is I do not like the setup that everything is already prepackaged, or except for the rotisserie section where everything's been sitting out.
Yeah.
And if it's not getting used up quickly, then it's just getting cold. This is not. To me, even if this is a value resort, it's not acceptable. Over at the All-Star Resorts at Disney, if you go up and, there are some sections in their food courts that are similar, but there's still plenty of stuff you can have made to order. I don't feel like the fact that it's value means that you need to cut corners on the dining. Like, yes, I would kind of defeat the purpose of it if you showed up there and everything was $20 because, well, it kind of has to be. There's a lot of chefs working to make it all good, but I feel like there has to be a balance in between without having to ask for, can I have fresh food? That shouldn't be something you have to ask. You should have the freshest, best food you should have there. Otherwise, I say just skip it. And that's kind of how I am. Just skip it. If you want a meal and you've got 4 people there, or you got 2 fat kids like us, just order the $27.99 room service pizza.
Yep.
It will satisfy you much longer than anything will in this restaurant. And I feel terrible for saying it. And I hope that they get that feedback, they get our feedback, they get others' feedback, and make some changes to it. But Beach Break Cafe, I say avoid until it's good, or just use it for like the drink options.
And if you're worried about being like, well, what do I do for food if I'm staying there? I'm going to tell you right now, literally just through the crosswalk, there's a KFC and a pizza place across the street that you can go to if it's not, whatever.
Yeah. So beyond that, other amenities that were, well, since we just talked about Beach Break Cafe, that is that option. Then there's also Sandbar. That is the pool bar that only serves drinks. And like the food video, we also have a separate video on the drinks that we got while we were at Sandbar. But Ryno, do you want to recap what drinks we did get while we were there?
We got the Tidal Wave Endless Summer for $9, which was rum, Deep Eddy Peach Vodka, orange, pineapple, and cranberry. And the Strawberry Basil Mule, which was Jim Beam, ginger, muddled strawberries with basil. Those are both on the rocks, $9. We got them during happy hour, so I believe they were each $1 off. There's a happy hour at this resort from, I want to say it was 5 to 7. Mm-hmm. And then we also tried the Toasted Coconut Mojito for $9.50, which is the Rum Haven Coconut Rum, Mango Mint Toasted Coconut, and the Surfside Whitewash, which is Rum Haven Coconut Rum, Red Bull Coconut, and Pineapple. And then so when we got those are each $1 off, so they were $8.50 each when we got them. So compared to like how much you're going to buy a mixed drink for anywhere else, it's going to be like $12 or $13 $8. So I feel like these are pretty good prices,
Nope.
And the drinks weren't even that bad. They were good.
Yeah, no, they were completely serviceable for what they were,
Yeah.
and they can do whatever you want. At the end of the day, you can just stick with beer.
You can get draft beer here for $6. So like Bud Light, Miller Lite, Coors Light, Michelob Ultra, Corona Premier, Blue Moon, Wave Maker, and Modelo.
Yeah.
And then there's a bunch of canned beers that are all $6.50.
Yeah, and those were 16-ounce drafts for the beers that you mentioned that were on draft there, and then for happy hour on like the Bud family, I want to say those were all 4. So it's a very affordable bar.
There are non-alcoholic beverages that are like smoothies that they'll make for you too, but they didn't list them called this on the menu, but on the website they call them Barney beverages.
I got nothing.
I have never heard that. So the interesting. I'm going to use that.
Yeah, I'm assuming that Barney is
The
someone.
Purple Dino.
Okay, maybe
Yeah,
that.
Mr. Tickle Pants or whatever. What was the name of the guy? Mr. Peekaboo.
Mr. Peekaboo.
Yeah. Mr. Tickle Pants sounds horrible.
It absolutely does. But yeah, Sandbar, I think it's convenient. It's right beside the pool. And speaking of that, why don't we just mention the pool right now and the other amenities there? What'd you think of the pool?
Well, I didn't go in it, but it was a nice big surfboard shaped pool.
I see it more as a Jesus fish pool.
Jesus. I thought actually where the pool is located, the pool area, is very nice because it's right up against the edge of the resort, which overlooks the water, the lake that it's on. So I was like, oh, that's kind of a cool view when you're in there.
Yeah, but I will say this much. Again, we didn't go in the pool. I don't need to go in a pool to tell you how big it was. I'll just tell you the amount of people that were there while we were there. You can, at no point in time are you going to struggle to find a beach chair. And you're not going to feel overly crowded in the pool. It is a very, very large pool. When it's at full capacity and everyone decides to swarm at the same time, I could tell you it would probably get busy.
Yeah.
But I think your average day, you're not going to feel like you're overcrowded, especially on the beach chairs. There are so many beach chairs. There was live entertainment at Sandbar, so you can take it or leave it. I think
there were 2 ladies that they took it.
Yeah,
no, wait a minute. They were loving their lives. These 2 ladies at the bar were dancing like nobody's business.
Yeah, one person mentioned it in the comments for our Sandbar video.
I saw that comment where they were like, "What was going on with those 2?" And I didn't even think I'd left it in there really. So I'm like,
yeah. But overall, I think it's a very, very nice pool area. Like you said, it's got a beautiful view looking out in there. Hours are good, 8 a.m. to 11 p.m. So plenty of time to have an opportunity to get in the pool. And yeah, I was impressed with it. It could have been fancier. It could have had a nice place that had food attached with it, like Cabana Bay does with their hideaway. But
snack or something. But it's fine. It's fine.
Yep. Again, it's value. I'm not going to complain too much about it. So the other amenities, they have an arcade, which was kind of our running joke the entire time. It is such a small arcade. It is so stupid.
It's fine. I think if you're a kid and you want to play in the arcade, there's plenty of things to choose from. I mean, there's 12 machines in there or something. But that one thing that you need to put your money on to get the ticket to work did not work. And they were working around the clock with this the entire time we were there for over 24 hours on this thing. I'm not even kidding you.
Yeah. Oh no, constantly. And there was lots of people in there using the arcade. So it truly, I think, does serve the purpose that it has there. So just to me, it's like, I'm used to seeing the Disney value resorts with these massive arcades because they realize they're a value, and that might be what people enjoy. But I'm not trying to say like, oh no, people who only stay value can like have arcades and stuff. It just seems to be that's the trend with it based on what Disney established. Universal's going against that. So I guess that's where it comes in with 2 different companies have 2 different mindsets. On the other side, the gym, which is open from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m., was, I think, one of the greatest gyms I've seen in any hotels. Maybe it's not as impressive as the Jack LaLanne.
Yeah, I was going to say,
it's definitely not as impressive as that, the Jack LaLanne one in Cabana Bay.
Dragon.
But for a value hotel, this thing was amazing. Plenty plenty of machines, whether you wanted a treadmill, elliptical, everything, weights. They had a rowing machine in there.
Yeah.
Like,
it was a nice setup. It's in a spot though where people are going to watch you, but it was a nice selection of machines.
Yeah. And I can't foresee a time where you would ever go in this gym and be like, oh, it's overly crowded for me. You know, it's not like when you go to that one hotel where it's like, okay, they gave you 3 treadmill and 1 treadmill. They give you 3 treadmills and 1 medicine ball, and that's it. This is not the case. Just very impressive gym. I'm very happy with that. And I guess that's where it's where we're gonna go up to our rooms. We're gonna see lots of fun decor on the ceilings and stuff like surfboards because we're constantly under the waves, bruh. But yeah, let's talk about the rooms. So we had our 2-bedroom suite. We did our initial room review tour that is already out there that you can watch. We apologize for the audio on that one. Didn't realize it until after it was uploaded.
It's just for a couple seconds. It doesn't even. Everyone thinks it's the air conditioner turning on, and it's not. It's something wrong with the mic on the camera.
But overall, the 2-bedroom suite. My only complaint with it is it's still not a 2-bedroom suite. It is a 1-bedroom suite. That's just simple. There's only 1 bedroom. The fact that the main area of the room happens to have 2 beds in it, that to me does not make it a bedroom. Like, if a standard room, I don't consider that a 1-bedroom place. So why would you all of a sudden add on an extra bedroom and call it a 2-bedroom? But I guess that's just where you get into semantics.
Yeah, I didn't get that terminology either. Yeah.
But the I want to say that one of the things we mentioned in it was first off, like, oh well, it's not really about our initial thoughts on it. It's about what it's like after we're sleeping there, after we enjoyed the beds. And how was your sleep in the room?
I liked it. I felt comfortable. I mean, I went to bed at like 3 a.m. and woke up at like 7 a.m. But it was I thought the beds were fine.
Yeah, honestly, I ended up being very surprised by the beds. I thought we weren't going to enjoy it. We were sitting there watching TV, eating our pizza. I was kind of like, this is not that comfortable. And then it just like clicked where I think I got in a groove in the right part of the bed, and it just... I fell asleep so fast.
They're still new, so they're pretty firm, which I like, but enough of that give where, like, I don't know, bounce around. I tried to bounce on the bed, but it didn't. I'm 34, so.
Oh, I was jumping back and forth between the beds. I will say that I found hiding spots in the room.
That window.
No, I liked the space in that, and that's in the main room. Originally, I was going to sleep in the 1 bedroom by itself, but
fell asleep watching TV. What were we watching? Colin Hanks TV show?
Yeah, we were watching Life in Pieces. Yeah. We watched a little Family Guy, a little Simpsons. We kind of went through the entire realm, baby. We wanted to just watch Austin Powers.
But that's a great thing that we should bring up, though, is the TV. So it was nice TV, nice size TV in both rooms. But Craig picked up the remote and he realized it's one of those like Xfinity remotes that you can talk to it. So we would be like, I want to watch this, and then it would bring up like on-demand selections that were already there, or it would tell you when things were playing if you were looking for something.
Exactly. You had the Comcast Xfinity On Demand on it, so your remote doesn't control the TV. It's actually controlling the cable box that is right up above the TV. So you basically have this digital cable box in your room, and you have everything that comes with it. You have the awesome guide set up. You have the voice activated talking to it. You have like Ryno said, you had on demand, and I mean like on demand. Mm-hmm. And there were so many movies we could choose from, TV shows, episodes. Like it was my dream for like sitting back to watch TV, and it just I was really surprised by that. Well, it made me really happy.
Like I don't in my house because I can't, but I like to fall asleep to TV sometimes, and so whenever we travel, I always like to have something that is on that I'm familiar with a little bit, that it makes me feel a little comfort, when you're sleeping somewhere that you're not familiar with.
Yeah.
So it's nice to have that as many options,
Absolutely. I was very impressed with that. I will say we had the room cranked as low as 65. That's as low as it would go.
Yeah.
And with the hardwood floors, I thought things would stay a little cooler because of it. But
Yeah.
I felt like even with it being as low as possible, I wasn't cold.
No,
Yeah.
and I've been like when we stayed on Disneyland for our recent Galaxy's Edge coverage, like I don't even think it went down that far. And I remember being like, I'm freezing. Yeah. Like there were nights where I had to get up and turn it up, and like this at 65 the whole time, it was comfortable, but it was like not our normal. It could have been a couple degrees colder.
Yeah. I'm definitely down with that. And ultimately, we got a lot of use out of our picnic table. Plenty of use.
Yeah, I actually really enjoyed that.
Yeah, no, it was whether we were using it to have our laptops out and do work or store our breakfast on it. We got a lot of use. So I'm all for the picnic table. I'm all for the fridge. I guess the sink is nice to have too. I maybe could have used a little bit more of an expanded kitchen in that way because of it. But at the same time, if I could ultimately change anything, and I mean anything, I think I would have. Maybe this just sounds crazy, but for the main bedroom portion of the room, I think I would have preferred one queen bed in there and then one queen couch pull out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I think if you were going to stay with like 4 people, it was like 2 couples, then it would have given you a little bit more space or something like that. Because it was kind of like there were 3 beds in there, but even if everybody that we had invited had shown up, I don't think we would have used it all either.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying like, oh, well, yeah, but it's that, you book a room based on how many people are going to be there. But it was kind of like, well, what if you're just somebody that wants some space? You could clear it out,
Yeah, I mean, I know it's really getting nitpicky on it, and that's where, like, I like Cabana Bay's family suites because it does have the seating area. It's a nice place to relax and enjoy and hang out with friends, and then you have the separate sleeping area.
Yeah.
So you get both of those. But here, it's like, okay, well, if our friends would have come over, I'm admitting it, we don't have friends, but if they would have come over, and if we had them, it would have been awkward because it's like, okay, let's all pile on these beds to sit around and watch TV, or just let's sit at the picnic table. But it didn't provide that. But I guess the average vacationer also doesn't necessarily need that. So I understand why it could be dropped on there. But, nothing in the room felt cheap for the price. Got comments asking if the room was clean. It was clean, which I would expect it to be considering we were there for the very first day. I know sometimes you have to be concerned like, okay, well, just because you were there on the first day doesn't mean the room wasn't finished and ready to go like 3 weeks before and just sitting there collecting dust. And in our case, the room was very, very clean. I think we found like one small dusty area that Ryno kind of inhaled the dust, but that was in the closet. So you always have to worry about dust in the closet.
What are you, R. Kelly?
Yeah. No, I'm not. I can of all the jokes I make about saying I'm bad and saying bad things, I will not say that. I am not R. Kelly.
Okay, good. Well, thank God for that.
Yeah.
But, yeah. And it was probably just like when you put new furniture together, that type of dust. It wasn't like dust.
Yeah. And ultimately, at the end of the day, $168 for that room for one night, I think it's spectacular value. Just for the room alone. The last thing we'll kind of end with, I think in terms of that, we've kind of gone over everything. Next thing is the proximity. So we talked about that at the start of the show, where it was actually located. I'm still not settled on this yet.
Well, our bus ride to the parks with the shuttle took from the time the bus pulled up so entering the bus to exiting the bus was like 18 minutes.
Yes, and that was on the way there. And
we did hit some turning into that area traffic at, I don't even remember what time of day we went, like 7:30, 8 o'clock.
Once we got to the transportation hub, it was right around like 7, just like what you said, 7:30, 8 o'clock. At the transportation hub is where we hit the traffic. So we made it through the Universal Boulevard, International Boulevard, traffic light with no problems, made it over. It was then once we were trying to get turned into where the bus loop is, that's where we hit all the traffic. And So that was slightly aggravating because you could tell, like, oh, we're here. If they would just let us off,
I know.
and
I
we
wish
could
you
walk.
just opened the door, especially when we had already made the turn, but we were stuck there for another like 5 minutes. I was like, just unload the bus.
It was like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
We literally would have made it there. I would have said in 6 minutes if we would have been able to just pull right up and then taken a right and gone in. Super convenient in that way. On the way back, it did only take us 8 minutes, and that was with waiting on the light to turn out and turn left and then go through all of that. So bus transportation, not bad. Walking, I kind of did a half walk to get to Universal. I hate doing that because I walk really quickly, so I'm not a good judge of it. I could walk from Endless Summer all the way to Universal at the City Walk Hub in about 25 minutes. The issue with this is right now the only way you can get out of Surfside Inn and Suites is all the way where you actually drive onto it.
Yeah, it's weird because so where you would exit the hotel, you have to go all the way back up a street and then come all the way back down a street.
Exactly.
Essentially.
Yeah, there's no gate to take you from the lobby of the hotel right to where the intersection of Universal International is. It's you have to walk all the way down the entire length of the hotel and then loop back around and make up
right
that
back
ground.
where you were essentially.
Exactly.
Jump the fence.
Yeah, I mean, that's the quickest option with it. But because of that, it adds on a little extra time. So it's not out of the question if you would prefer the walk to waiting on the bus. I definitely would say it's not bad. But again, if you're uncomfortable with the area, don't walk in the night. Just walk in the daytime. But it's not dangerous. You don't have to worry about getting your car jacked or anything. It's not bad like that. It's obnoxious. International Drive, to me, is an obnoxious part of Florida.
Well, all those tourists, just like yourselves, that are going to book there, you know.
I'm not calling you guys obnoxious.
It's a matter of I'd just be concerned. It's a high area of a lot of people not knowing where they're going.
Yeah.
So be careful.
That's where I would say that with the walking is that be concerned that someone will almost run you over.
Yeah.
That is my main concern with that. I think that's literally about it though with it. Is there anything else we're missing?
No.
So overall, final thoughts on it. Ryno is the first value hotel, the price points that it's at, with the decor, the comfort, everything in there. You recommend it?
Oh, yeah, I think I would. 100%. I would tell anybody who is asking me, like my friend Nicole is going to come down for Halloween Horror Nights like she does every year, and I think they made a reservation there. And they're like, oh, so how is it? And I'm like, actually, I think it's very affordable. It's right there. I told her, I was like, I think you'll be happy. So, especially in that suite, I thought the suite was a great value for the money.
Yeah, I have to say I'm pretty much right there with you. There's the couple minor complaints I have, like I don't recommend the food at all. So
no, maybe there's a Walgreens right across the street too. You could probably get some like breakfast items or whatever, and then save your meals for in city walk.
Yeah, save them for in the park. Don't eat at the hotel. Just don't find some way around that. So I have to knock the hotel on the food. That really was a big failure.
Yeah.
I understand why they're doing it, but I think it also sucks that you'll only be able to pull hop between Dockside Inn and Suites as well as Surfside. You can't use the other hotel pools all around because that's been the big thing with Universal hotels. You can always bounce around and use the other pools. So pool hopping now out for those, but they're also not on the main campus. But it's, I look at the pool hopping aspect of maybe I'm at the price point right now. All I can afford is Surfside Inn and Suites, but I want to know if I can ever afford these other ones one day. You can
still go check them out.
Yeah,
though.
you can, but you have to stand behind the gate and look like a weirdo.
Yeah, it's my life story.
Yeah, so but I understand too. You're at 7 hotels now. You got to start getting concerned about how many people are all showing up to the one pool at the exact same time. And then it's just if you like proximity and you like being at Hard Rock because you literally can walk to the parks in 5 minutes, 10 minutes, then I can understand why you would still want to keep that. But if you're just looking for a cheap place to stay that's comfortable, clean, friendly, and just basically a place for your head at night, and you don't necessarily care about being as close as possible and being in the most luxurious of places, I'm gonna go all in on this place. I recommend it. Just don't eat there, and manage the expectations on stuff like proximity and such that we said. So, thumbs up. Good. But okay, I think that's it. I think it's it now. So I feel like I'm not going to answer any questions because I would just be awkward.
Well, plus I think we're running out of time.
We are, but we're not to. But we are. But we're not. But we are. But we're not. But anyways, I'm not going to answer questions because one day people will look back on this as this review and they'll be like, wow, what a good succinct review where you only went off the rails at one point in time and then you answered these random questions at the end that really date it all. And it's just pick a random celebrity right now. Pick one.
Tim Allen.
Okay, we will. That's not super random, but we'll just next time. Sigourney Weaver. That's a perfect one. So next episode, I promise you, we will answer questions. That will be after our Big Fire review that we're going to have for you next week. We'll answer questions, and we will find a way to bring in our brand new Sigourney Weaver podcast. That's going to
get away from her, you beach, where we talk about the endless summer beach resort. Oh man, that would have been perfect for this episode.
Yep, if you could still just
and the name is
name
not right. So
whatever. So thank you guys so much for watching and listening to this. Thank you, Ryno, for being here and a part of it. So of course, if you need more information on this show and all the others on the Diz Unplugged podcast network, dizunplugged.com. Make sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all the places that we exist at. And if you need to email us, uopodcast@dizunplugged.com. If you're listening to this on iTunes or whatever version where you're getting audio, make sure to subscribe, rate, and review us. And if you're watching this on YouTube, make sure you're subscribed. Leave us fun comments, hit that thumbs up button, and all that good stuff. And yeah, that's it. So thank you very much again, guys. We hope you enjoyed our review of Surfside Inn and Suites. We'll see you again next week with another episode. But until then, remember, we still have not changed the name.